A nice human being right now. Right now I'm feeling pleasantly pissed. And no, not the British way. I should not have worn this shirt. I don't even know what the temperature is out right now. I just read something that pissed me off, and so I didn't have a chance to do I don't know what I was walking into. I just know that in hindsight, this is probably the worst outfit I could have been wearing for what I'm about to do. It's not the worst. The worst would be a wool sweater. You out there doing cardio in the summer in a wool sweater. I don't usually have strong opinions on anything. I take that back, that's bullshit. I have strong opinions on everything. But medical procedures I usually kind of like. I defer to the expert. However, in this case, I am the fucking expert. And I think any doctor that recommends someone get gastric bypass surgery when they're maybe less than 100 pounds or less overweight, I think that person should lose their license. I think they should be sued for medical malpractice. I think gastric bypass is an inherently stupid procedure and idea. It would be smarter to have yourself medically implanted with a parasite, because at least you can get rid of the parasite, rather than suggest to someone, hey, I'm going to put a foreign object in your body that's going to screw up your digestive system for the rest of your life, and all on the purpose so that I can restrict your calories. But if you've got behavioral problems that you just have no self-control or willpower, this probably won't do you much good anyway, because you'll find a way to eat your way around the sleeve. Oh, and by the way, for the rest of your life, you'll have to take expensive supplements, and there will be complications and leaking, and you'll be prone to infections. I just don't understand how anybody can recommend that surgery to anybody unless they're like 500 pounds overweight. It's an emergency surgery only, and it's still a bad idea then. I'm going to put a foreign object around an organ system that is constantly surrounded by bacteria, harmful and otherwise. So when this thing leaks, there's also a good chance that you're going to have a lot of germs get in there and mess up stuff as well. Here we go. I'm using all the technical terms. It can leak. There could be digestive fluids splashing around in your organs. And the next thing, you got infections to worry about, gastrointestinal infections to worry about, because somebody idiotically put this foreign object in your body. Gastric bypass and all that kind of in the sleeve would have been a great idea if there was ever a plan to take it out of your body. It says, no, we're going to leave it in there. It's like, oh, what? Yeah, we're going to leave that foreign object in your body. That can cause complications. You've been better off putting a tapeworm inside of somebody's body, letting the tapeworms go to town, and then giving them medication every once in a while that'll eliminate the tapeworms. And then every once in a while, every other year, you give them a parasite on purpose. Because at least you can get rid of parasites. I hate the procedure. And I know it ain't cheap. Like I said, I know when I'm pissed right now just thinking about the person that had it done. But when I find out how much it cost, I'm gonna be even more pissed. There was a house there, right? No, I get it. I mean, everybody in there for other. Some of these houses probably need to be torn up anyway. I live in a house that's 72 years old, and God bless them. You know, their heart was in the right place, but their head really wasn't thinking about the future. We put a steel reinforced concrete house on top of a spongy, shaky clay bed, and the house is too heavy and too stiff to adapt to the foundation underneath it. I paid money and got the foundation repaired, got a bunch of other stuff done, getting the cosmetics done, but I'm looking at it as like everything in that house just seems like it's too small. And that's the other thing. I think when I was only gonna do it in one step, baby. When they built these houses, the average height of people was 5'6", and they weighed in at a good $155. I'm not saying I need a ton of space, but it would be nice when I'm looking at the kitchen. I think that's my problem. I think I gotta learn how to do more with less. I live with somebody who's pretty much a pack rat, and I think the reason why everything looks so small is because there's so much crap inside of the space. But yeah, I'm tired. Been a hell of a week. Supposed to be getting the bathroom redone, and the guy was going to do that. He wound up coming down sick with something. So I mentally braced myself for having three plus grown adults try to share one bathroom. And now I gotta put all that stuff back in the bathroom. Wait until October, and then try this again. It would have been nice to have it done over the summer, before it gets cold and I have to sit here and do stuff in cold water, but I'll adapt. It's always something. do you think the air quality is? If I had to guess, it's in the yellow zone somewhere. Feels like it's about 89 degrees. And of course, it's been windy all week. I did watch a little bit of the Texas Ranger game. They were here, and the wind was blowing the flags. Wasn't paying attention to the game because that's a lost cause, but I got a weather report from just seeing the conditions on the field. I was angry about that. I had a strong opinion about John Daniels. Wish he was gone, but he won't be. The Rangers will continue to have their team run by a guy who never played an inning of baseball. Some egghead who wasn't good enough to make up his own system. He had to copy someone else's system and not quite understand that the system only works when you have baseball people involved. I don't know if it's unique to this country, but it's unique to this era, where we take the statistician's word over the guy who's had the experience. Where you get idiots like Mike Namara running the Vietnam War. Or economists dictating social policy. I think there should be a requirement that says, in order to consider yourself an expert, you have to have had worked at least 20 years in the field you're talking about. And I don't mean you were at a college campus and you ran stats for 20 years. I mean you were actually out there making a living doing it with other people's money. Some company hired you. You knew what you were talking about. You must have, because you had the job for 20 years. Not some guy who sat there and read textbooks and did a little light research by asking other people who were in the industry what they thought about it. You were honest to God, boots on the ground, experience. Comes to weight loss, I am honest to God, boots on the ground experience. I am a fucking expert. I spent 20 years, I'm thinking about that now, 20 years. I've tried every diet, every fad, I've talked to every different type of person. I've seen the complications that result from people getting bypass surgery, the gastric bypass or the sleeve. And it's dumb. It's just dumb. You know how to make it smart? You put the thing inside of somebody and it degrades after time. I'd be alright with that. One thing that goes wrong with the bypass surgery is you lose weight too fast. So some people wind up with loose skin. They definitely lose a lot of muscle. That's why they recommended it for the people who have extreme problems. You weren't disciplined enough and you tried to take a shortcut and getting bypass surgery. You weren't exercising before the thing happened. You damn sure won't be exercising after. I just don't get people, man. Man. Is that hard to pull off? Kinda is. You know, whereas I'm sitting here trying to do it all in one stride, there are people who just jump the gap. They said I can't jump shit. I have the jumping ability of a stereotypical New York Jewish man. You know the ones I'm talking about. The god-awful rimmed glasses, about 20 pounds overweight, no muscle definition to speak of. I've got the jumping ability of Alan Greenspan. Not the jumping ability of Hank Greenberg. That man, whew. He was a freak of nature. Kept up with baseball stats. Was more interested in RBIs and on base percentage than home runs. Smart in that way. Everybody's so hung up with home runs that the bigger metric is, besides swinging and hitting for the fences, do you have a controlled enough game to get a single, get a double? You do stuff like that, pitchers hate you. Pitchers love going up against home run guys because even though there's a chance they might they might go yard on them, there's an even greater chance they're going to strike out. Sammy Sosa was chasing records, the single season home run record, but he was swinging at air. Whew. A whole lot of times. No, what should always make you nervous is the guy with really high on-base percentage. Doesn't matter where you try to pitch him in the strike zone, he's going to get on base. Look at those stats from the old days, man. Some guys had really insane on-base percentages, like in the 70 percentile. I was just like, damn, 70%. And higher. Keep thinking about that line from one of the baseball things I was watching, Ken Burns, and the guy said, he says, the umpire kept saying ball, ball, ball. And he says, when are you going to call a strike? And he says, oh, Mr. Such and Such will let you know. Because the guy knew the strike zone intimately. He could hit anything that was in the strike zone. Bottom line is, he pitched it at him and he swung at it. It was probably a strike. I think about Vladimir Guerrero. Kind of underrated, I think. Here's a guy who single-handedly came into the Texas Ranger organization and kind of got the boys excited about hitting. They'd come up with excuses about what they couldn't hit, and Vladimir Guerrero was hitting stuff off the dirt. Kind of weird that later on in life he wanted to become kind of a control hitter. That was a magical season, man. I don't really enjoy baseball, but that season them guys had me enjoying baseball. It was like watching one of those baseball movies, like The Natural or Major League. Like, you couldn't script something like this. I remember Randy Galloway, like I said, before that season even began, he said, I think this will be their record. It was like 89 to 71. He says, I think they'll do okay. Making it sound like they would barely get into the playoffs and, you know, maybe shake up things a little bit. But I said, maybe I'll watch a little baseball. I was like, I have no expectations for the Rangers. I know they suck. I said, but I haven't watched baseball in a while. And I started watching a few games, and they made me laugh. I got interested in their stories. Like I said, Vladimir Guerrero was one of the stories that had me laughing. He was hitting stuff off the dirt. Elvis Andrews was emerging. He was a rookie. He had this thing going on with Hamilton. Is it Hamilton? Can't remember his name now. Josh Hamilton. Yeah, Josh Hamilton. Him and Josh Hamilton had the claw and the antler thing, and everybody was kind of like, he was like, what's that all about? And it's like, there's something they were doing during training camp, and it's like the coach said, we're going to stop them from doing it. Ron Washington was playing this aggressive style of baseball where he was just like stealing bases, making a lot of pitchers nervous. Interesting strategy baseball. More riverboat gambler than chess player. Oh shit, I just not noticed that. Yeah. Is that a new jogging trail? I think it is. Yeah, that's wild. It's a good idea. It's different. Naftali Feliz. All he could do was throw hard, but when he did throw hard, it was pretty dangerous fastball. Ian Kinsler and his weird habits when he would come up to the plate. Watching him settle into his stance. That was a fun team to watch, though. There was no expectations. They were playing fast and loose. And they made it to the World Series when nobody predicted they would. I'm trying to remember the name of the pitcher they had that he couldn't grow a mustache to save his life. He had a few good games. God, I can't think of his name. I'm sure it'll come to me eventually. But the first year was fun, the second year was business. Watching that second year, when they knew what they had to do, when they knew the rest of the AL West was still pretty weak. They weren't weak, shit. They still had the Angels to contend with, but they knew how to beat them. No, they lost to North Dallas, which North Dallas has never had, at least when I went there. Well, I not went there when I was in school here. North Dallas was always a sorry team. And then they started having more of a Hispanic presence at their school. And so they had a harder time fielding football teams. Now, that was the gimme game. I was like, is that how low TJ is sunk now? Yeah, I mean, TJ is now where Dallas was. Really put together 33 guys. Is that a drinking bottle or a mixing? That looks like a that looks like a mixing thing for making mixed drinks. That you're a big boy, aren't you? As long as you got desperate kids trying to get out of poverty. I think you'll always have certain sports. Boxing was supposed to die, but it still goes on. Ducky. A duck or a goose? Looks like it sounded like a duck. Like geese honk. Anyway. Boxing is still there. But I guess they got it replaced mostly by UFC. Football may change, but I think there'll always be an audience for it. Like, I'm watching the condensed game, so I'm not seeing the injuries anymore. So I don't know how many people are getting hurt, how many people are getting thrown out of games for targeting. Well, I don't know what's going on. But from what I've seen, dudes aren't taking cheap shots anymore. Has it changed the game much? No, it's still physical. I still see some hard hits every once in a while. But yeah, I don't see guys headhunting anymore. Which I guess is a good thing for both the headhunters and the guys that they're targeting. Okay, I think it's my shoes. Because I was running out there struggling. I'm running here and it feels fine. I got my bounce back. Like, these shoes have nothing left. They call Jack Tatum the assassin. I can't help but wonder when they saw it on his brain, what did they find? I don't think Jack Tatum made it to his 70s. Meanwhile, Jim Brown's hanging in there. But I know all those injuries caught up to him. Someday they'll saw down on O.J. Simpson's brain, and everybody will be saying, "Oh, you think he did it?" I think he was rich enough to where I don't care if he did it. I think that's the question that you need to ask, not if he did it. That's irrelevant. Was he rich enough and famous enough to get away with it? And to that answer, I say yes. He's guilty of sin of being rich and famous. In this country, anybody can be king. Anybody, let's put it this way, they divvied up the kingdom. If you got the fortune and fame, this is the country for kings. Not anybody can become a king, or not everybody will become a king. Is it an energy drink? No, someone just actively left their water bottle here. Although it looks like what do they call it, a decanter, whatever they call it, the thing that allows you to mix. But yeah, let's talk about kings. You got me curious. I wonder what Epstein knew. He knew a lot of things. If you're able to get away with something twice, and then get quote unquote money to sell, the dude did a lot. I know it seems a lot of people turned on the Democrats. And I guess the reason that they turned on them is whenever I think of somebody from the liberal left, I think of everybody thinks in the worst case. And the worst case scenario was a character designed by Matt Groening in Futurama. And Futurama had the episode where they were eating the poplars, and it turns out the poplars were the offspring of the people from Omicron Persei 8. And in that episode they had a character called Smelly Hippie, and Smelly Hippie was all the things that people hate about folks on the extreme levels. It's like they don't realize that people, like, they have a grooming problem. They're just generally not likable people. They're pushy, they're annoying, self-righteous. They may be right about some things, but they think they're right about everything. There's no humility in these people. And so he has that character, and like I said, that character told everybody, well, you have no choice. It's either Donald Trump or or Hillary. The problem I have with them is they're my way or the highway people, and they get incredulous when people select the highway. I know the election of Trump came down to money. People honestly thought that he was going to bring back some of the manufacturing jobs. That's a good chunk of your people. But the disillusionment with the left, they had a lot of people, like myself included, just bow that was some soul searching that it looks like the Democrats have yet to have done. They keep thinking we're going to rally the troops like we did back in 2008, and I was like, no, those people aren't there anymore. 8 years of Obama and broken promises. You're not going to get those people back. So I think they have a problem. Like I said, they have a blind spot when it comes to that. They think their problem was they just didn't do enough to get the turnout. And I was like, no. You put out a candidate with moral halitosis versus their character who had moral halitosis, and they just decided your stunt will look a little bit worse than theirs did. When I look at the pool of people they got now, none of these folks have charisma other than I guess Joe Biden would. Joe Biden is just more of the same. Joe Biden ain't putting any fresh ideas out there. He's just recycling the same old stale shit. And Bernie's not the same Bernie. The fire's not there. He's older, and the Democrats have wrangled him. It's like when they used to call McCain a maverick. They called McCain a maverick. By the time the Republicans were done with him, they had an editorial that made me kind of laugh. It was like, at first he's a maverick and he looks like a guy in cowboy gear, and the Republicans were saying, "Well, don't tell him that. Don't tell him that. No, you can't be for that. You can't be for that." And at the end of the panel, they had John McCain going from cowboy to rodeo clown. It's just sad to think that in the entire Democrats' history, the only reason they've ever gotten voted into office was because either the Republicans were deeply unpopular or the Democratic candidate was just too charismatic to ignore. They never seem to get there on the merits of their platform. Always seems like they've been on the wrong side of history, especially when they were the Dixiecrats. What's up, Bunny? Blondie? Picked up the wrong battery. Oh well. Let's see how many minutes I get out of it. I'm just not. That's not the game. Just pissed off that somebody I know did something stupid today, and it's not just going to affect them, it's going to affect me and everyone else. Everyone talks about being a team player, but the problem with being in a family is it was the team you didn't pick. I guess it's like being in the professional leagues. You get drafted by a shitty team. Who was that famously, he said, I don't want to play for, I think that was Peyton Manning. Said he didn't want to pay for the team that drafted him, and if they did draft him, he would sit out. So they traded their pick to some other, I forgot how that went, but the bottom line was that one of these quarterbacks burned the guys. So sometimes you do have a choice of who you play for. Sue the doctor for medical malpractice and thought it was a good idea. To put a gastric sleeve on a 55-year-old woman who works 60 hours a week. Who probably was barely 100 pounds overweight. But see, that's what happens when you're in a rush to do something. And I know that any other doctor worth his salt would have told her, no, don't do it. You're not a candidate for it. Don't do it. That was like, I think last year, my dentist recommends I go see somebody about maybe getting a gum graft because I got exposed, tooth surface. I got one doctor. He looks at it. He says, I don't think it's that bad. You can do this, this, and this. I said, okay. This guy had like 25, 30 years of experience. Then I go to the young doctor. His dad was a dentist. He wound up being a whatever they call the gum doctor, periodontist. He's young, had about 10 years in the industry. Right off the bat, he's sitting there saying, "I think we need to do a gum flap, and we're gonna have to take out your wisdom teeth, and we're gonna do this, that, and the other, and it's gonna cost this much, and you need to put this much down. When can we start scheduling the surgery?" That is what's bugging me. Someone would have gone to that guy for a first opinion, and stupidly, that had been the only opinion. What that second guy said, he thought he was nuts. He says, no, I don't think it's that bad. I was like, no, I don't think so either. Doctors are getting just as bad as contractors. This is somebody who spent 12 years in school. And at least periodontists are getting as bad as contractors. But once again, I'm trying to figure out who would tell a 55-year-old woman who's barely 100 pounds overweight, yeah, you need to get a gastric sleeve. No, dude. She was 500 pounds, 600 pounds. Like I said, they should limit that to people who are extremely obese, and now they're telling everybody they can get it done. And the people who are having it done for emergency purposes probably shouldn't even have it done. It's a stupid procedure. You know, like I said, if the band degraded after time, like on purpose, it'd probably be a pretty smart idea. After you've lost about a couple 100 pounds, starts to break, the sleep breaks down, and you get your normal stomach back. Well, that's not what happened. People get it done, they lose a lot of weight, their bones get brittle, they start having immune disorders, and the damn thing starts to leak. All sorts of complications. No one ever says, hey man, we need to take this thing out of the person's body. It's just like, well, we can do some things to fix it, this and there. Person I've talked to had it done, I said nothing but complications. And the reason it's a bad idea also is because you got somebody who isn't compliant with their diet. You're putting this medieval inspired torture device into their gastrointestinal system, and they're still doing some of the bad behaviors. Like, if these people had good behavior in the first place, they wouldn't need gastric bypass sleeve. Well, this works if you do the discipline, and well, if they can do the discipline thing, they don't need the goddamn sleeve. It's a flawed procedure. Like, well, we're gonna make your stomach the size of a cookie, but you'll have to stop eating cookies for a while. Okay, doc. Go back to eating cookies. Oh, I'm so full, but I think I can fit another one in. You went from eating cookies in one sitting to spreading out your cookie eating. That's all it really does. I'll just eat cookies all day. I was like, okay. I'll have 24 meals a day. The other reason I shouldn't have wore the shirt is because the wind's catching it. When I had all the construction stuff done to the house, I had several people come by, research them, check their credentials. You know, they put all that stuff online. I probably paid more, but it was worth it. I was trying to lose weight. I didn't think the first thing I need to do is, like I said, I'm 200 pounds overweight. I'm the kind of guy that they tell to get, the gastric bypass. And I thought it was a bad idea. I was like, nah, sounds kind of stupid. Actually, back in the day, they had the sleeve. They had the, they had the bypass. They put the ring on there, and it blocks it off, and then they cut your stomach and give you a smaller stomach. somebody's going to look back in the medical textbooks and they're going to see this chapter in our history and they're going to say, what were they? I was like, this wasn't the fucking Dark Ages, was it? Leeches would be a fucking better idea. And then lap band, gastric bypass, or whatever the other thing they call it. Think about how flawed that is. The only reason that those surgeries would work is if the person was compliant in the first place. But if they were compliant, they wouldn't need the device to make them compliant. There's the flaw in it. Now that I know this person did this dumb fuck thing, I'm just waiting to hear when she does lose the weight. When she does lose the weight, she's gonna have all that loose skin. And then she's gonna go back to the same shyster type doctor and have him give her a body lift, and that's gonna turn out badly. Just done. Came out here to kind of work off some of the frustration I was feeling about the whole thing. Talk out loud, scream at the heavens. But not too much though, because I don't want to get... This guy's just screaming at the top of his lungs at nothing. It was like it was just primal roar. I was just mad about something. It is what it is. It happened. She's going to have to deal with it. I'm not giving her any help. Fuck her. I got people making dumb decisions. Like people who have babies. Financial plan for babies. You should shrug your shoulders on that one. Realist in you is just the realist feels like they're rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. I make dumb decisions too. I'm by no means perfect. It was a dumb decision I made. I want to say getting my degree in computer science. But there are all these people who tell me, man, if I had your degree and your brains, I would be doing this. I was like, and I'm thinking to myself, if y'all had my brains, you'd be just as depressed as I am. Everybody who's smart enough to realize things is smart enough to realize that they can't change. You know, being smart doesn't instantly give you the ability to control and guide stupid people. That's a different kind of smart. You know, being good at mathematics and science does not make you a great orator or confidence man. That's what the world kind of needs, is they need a confidence man who's really trying to change the world for the better. But all they're going to do is they're going to keep getting the same confidence guys that take the money and run. They don't even take the money and run. That's excuse me, that's being hopeful. That's almost making it sound like they're scared. They're scared they're going to face justice. No, they take the money, and then the people who they took the money for graciously call them a cab or a limo and let them leave town without consequence. I just got robbed, and I bought a taxi for the guy who robbed me. Therein lies the flaw. Americans get robbed, and they buy a U-Haul for the guy who's robbing them. Hey man, this bag of money is not going to carry itself. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I was like, you fucked me over, but you're right. It's not right for you to have to carry that big, large pile of money today. Actually, I guess it's not robbing if you gave him the money that you finagled out of me. Let me call you a cab. That's what buying sports stadiums is. The team's robbing the city blind. And then you're giving them a place to hold their money. So let me put you a palace to hold the money that you're stealing from us, that you finagled from us. The ultimate confidence game. Oh well. Now, I said here 2 weeks ago, I said the same thing. Laura Miller doesn't look so bad when she let the Cowboys go. By the time it looks like they're going to recoup some of their costs, they're laughing for their stadium. If you guys don't give it to me, I can just go down to the Alps. I can take my team to Los Angeles. Actually, he'll be dead by then, so I guess I don't worry about that. I don't know, that asshole will probably live forever. He'll be 140 years old, drinking virgin blood every 5 minutes. Threatening to take the Cowboys to LA. I never could understand that about DISD. Is they spend all this, but like I said, that's because I don't understand racism, or I guess in this case ethnicism. For all the money they spent putting down portables, and having to maintain them things, and they're built to last for maybe 20 years. 20 years with decent maintenance. And being at this DISD, they're not going to get the decent maintenance. It would have just been cheaper to build a whole new wing on the school. They could have just built an ESOL wing, or just made a bigger school. But instead, because it's a bunch of, I guess what you want to, some people think illegal, but the bottom line is because you got a bunch of people showing up that don't speak English, and everybody don't think they're paying their fair share, you're going to give them the cheapest, crappiest building that you can. And they just have to make do with it. They call themselves trying to punish, I guess, the folks that came to this country illegally, and they wind up punishing the taxpayers instead. Separate but equal. We got around that. 1965 Voting Rights Act. Got around that. Direct election of senators. Got around that. Seriously, they really have kind of like with gerrymandering and party appointments. You kind of gotten around. You've gotten around the buddy system in Congress. That was the whole deal. It was like senators and senators mostly. Senators, because it wasn't direct election, they would just get a party yes guy to go in there. That was who they appointed to be senators. The House was direct election. So the National Party probably didn't have the sway of the local party. Now, national, local, it's all the same. The guy says he's a maverick, but if his party wants him to vote a certain way, he'll vote a certain way. It's kind of the weird thing about John McCain. How can you be a maverick when you were the son of a prestigious military family who married a billionaire heiress? You're about as maverick as mayonnaise. And you got a guy like John Kerry running against George Bush. He married an heiress. And the thing that people didn't like about John Kerry was he was a shameless self-promoter. There was no humility in the man. And it's kind of funny because he went into that campaign that year, he went into the primaries that year vastly the underdog. But everybody was so batshit crazy, the other people were so batshit crazy. or unacceptable to the mainstream that John Kerry winds up getting in. You had a guy like John Dean that was building this highly energetic grassroots things with young people, but there was no substance behind John Dean. Is it John Dean? Howard Dean, excuse me. Howard Dean. People say it was the L. It wasn't the L. His poll numbers were going down before that happened. That was just one soundbite that kind of cemented the deal. It's like, we understand he's popular, but why is he popular? And they started looking, examining the details of his plans, and they said, no, we're not ready for Howard Dean. What was so special about Howard Dean? He's probably one of the first guys to use the internet. That was it. Whereas Howard Dean was the Mark I tank, Obama was the M1A1 Abrams, or M1A2 Abrams. You know, Howard Dean's campaign was riveted plates. Barack Obama was TIG welded Chatham armor. That's the weird thing about Trump, though. How did he win? And he doesn't. His websites are known to be prone to crash, but that's just name brand recognition. Keep talking about this stuff because it's wildly hilarious. But the same pundits who are sitting there trying to predict this stuff, they're still getting it wrong. You know, the problem with the media is the media is a lot like that movie Barton Fink. I use a lot of analogies because everything just seems, I see the relativity in everything. But the news media is like Barton Fink, that one of the Coen brothers movies. Barton Fink's running around, played by John Turturro, running around talking about, I write plays for the common man, or about the common man. And Barton Fink knows about as much about the common man as he knows about the common cold. And that's kind of that's the joke. That's the joke of the media. The media sits there and says, I write about the common man. I was like, you guys got about as much in common with the common man as the common cold. And then you got John Goodman's character, who pretty much was the common man. Running around with a nasty ear infection, can't hear what people are telling him. Too busy worrying about his own skin. Brutal, sociopathic, irredeemable. Well, John Goodman in that movie was the common man. He even pointed that out. He was like, the common man. He just kind of scoffed at him. Sad. All I remember from that movie, besides the Barton Fink always coming out with that, it was like a programmed line. Or as a scripted line. He said it so often even he believed it. I write movies, I write plays about the common man. Yeah, okay. I write about the plight of the common man. And of course I'm thinking the critics that lauded him also don't know anything about the common man. Anyway, these people are writing about the election, and They were wrong in 2016, and now they're right about 2020. And they'll probably be wrong again. All I see is there's two parties in this country, and neither one of them has the right idea. So what needs to start happening? You need to stop spending so much money on the military and stop having wars in countries that have no business being in. That's probably number one. Number two, nationalize health care. Yeah, I know. Everybody talks about how the British system and all these other systems don't work, while puffing their chest out thinking that ours does. And then they'll come up with some kind of false data that shows their point of view. So when you start looking at the graph points, don't add up. We know what to do to fix all this. But when we follow the money, we understand why it hasn't been implemented. Because in order to do it, we would have to depose a lot of kings in America. And the kings are perfectly happy with things the way they are. And it's really hard to believe both parties when they take their marching orders and money from the kings. So, a democratic tyranny. Can such a thing exist? Well, it does here. Pick your tyrant. It's like, what if I don't want a tyrant? Then we'll pick one for you. It's like, you're going to get a tyrant no matter what. We just want to give you the illusion that you have a choice in the matter. Was Obama a tyrant? No, he worked for the tyrants. He's about he's about $10 million short of being a tyrant. I think with enough time, Obama will someday be in the ranks of the tyranny. Let's put it this way: I'll know he's a tyrant when they start naming the buildings in his honor instead of him teaching inside of the buildings. Tyrants get things named after them. That's why there's a Carnegie Hall, a Rockefeller Plaza, Ford Theater. Actually, it's probably named after another Ford, but you get my point. That's why Ross Perot's got his name splattered across 4 or 5 different buildings. don't have to do good things to be a tyrant. You just have to get your names put on the buildings. That's how history will remember you. Well, it'll kind of remember you. You'll go from being Rockefeller Plaza to being 30 Rock. Sure, Rockefeller didn't like his name being reduced down to just Rock, but he has no choice in the matter. He's dead. Why do they call it 30 Rock? I don't know. We forgot. You know, nobody remembers. Rock Plaza. Maybe they'll get lucky and dig up a dusty old history book. Find out about old John D. And they'll say, oh, he was like the tyrants we got now. The warlords of America. It's kind of got a nice ring to it. The warlords of America. Sure, why not? Could I make it in one stride? No. I say no, but if I had the time and the energy, well, there you go again. Yes, if I had the time and the energy, I'd be a super athlete, but I'm not. If I had the time and energy, I'd be a super scholar, but I'm not. If I had time and energy, I'd be a better person, but I don't, so I'm not. Someone points their finger at me and says, you're the reason why you can't be a better person. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And I just dismiss it because having an argument is pointless. I'm the reason I'm not a better person. I'll just roll my eyes and continue to be terrible. And you'll get mad and you'll see that I'm the problem. You'll blame me for all your problems. And I just won't care. Sometimes I think about that and I was like, I guess if I was like that, yeah, I'd be sitting there eating my Big Macs and drinking my milkshakes and smoking my cigarettes. I'm just not giving a damn anymore. I mean, the only reason I'm doing this is because I want to stay out of hospitals. But if I stop now, that probably won't be a problem for another 20 years. Just let myself go. Let my weight balloon up to 300 pounds again or more. I can always buy bigger pants. I think I'll wait until after I retire though, just let myself go. You're black, you can't retire. Oh, that's right. I keep getting snookered, man. White people make you think that you can retire, and it's like, you're a black man, you can't retire. Unless you're an entertainer and athlete, you can't retire. I'll be working until I can't get out of bed. And then I guess someone will find a new way for me to work from bed. Look, I know you're on your deathbed and all, but we really need you to take care of this. I was like, no, here. Pass me the computer, pass me the laptop. And I'm shaking, can't see straight. Still trying to do a job. I was like, wait, so you've got your operations handled by a 7-year-old man on his deathbed? Yeah, he does a pretty good job. And he works for cheap. Because he's too weak to get out of bed and bargain. Bargain for a better wage. We know he can die any day, and we're okay with that. In fact, we took out several life insurance policies to hedge our bet. But yeah, I know that if I go on this internet, I know I'm going to be pissed off with what I see. I know I'm going to see how much the gastric bypass cost, and I'm going to be mad. And that way I don't want to look, because I don't want to get angry anymore. You see, I was angry when I started working out tonight, and it didn't help me out at all in my workout. It used to, but I just don't. I guess I'm like a old star. I've burned through all the light hydrogen anger in my body. Now I'm forced to burn carbon and iron anger, and it's just harder to get all that, to get more energy out of it. Like, this is what it feels like to be old. I'm angry and tired, and I can't anger my anger at anything constructive because I'm tired. I was thinking about that today when I was taking out the garbage. I was like, I'm sitting here putting this stuff in recycle bins. I'm telling my dad that every time he drinks out of a plastic bottle, he's killing sea lions. He just looked at me. He says, "Oh, really?" I was like, "Yeah." You know, he's watching some program. They're talking about microscopic plastic pieces and how they're starting to accumulate into the bottom feeders, and it's affecting the rest of the ecosystem. Why the toxins that we thought were going to be diluted are actually becoming concentrated. So you're eating something that ate concentrated plastic. Enjoy. And that's why when you're an apathetic, when you just embrace nihilism, you just feel so much better. You guys are sitting there, you're telling them, yeah, we're kind of fucking up the environment. No, we're not. We're not causing all of this. And besides, it's not as bad as all these guys say it is. And you're like, okay. You're right. Or at least you think you're right. Either way, pointless. But yeah, like the guy was telling me, kind of my mentor. He's younger than me, but he's my mentor. He said, "Oh no," he said, "the Earth will be fine." I was like, "That's why I'm not worried." He's like, "The Earth will be just fine. Humans are fucked, but you know." And I remember thinking about that earlier. I was like, I'm not too concerned about it, because all that's going to happen is mankind is going to die, and that's not a bad thing. Someone would think, "Oh, that's a horrible statement to make." And I was like, no, we're horrible people. We probably just need to go. We're a horrible species. We'll make the planet uninhabitable for ourselves. What? I like the Ohio Players. I think that's what version. Or is that the Red Hot Chili Peppers? That's the Ohio Players. Say what? Well, I put a little energy into me. It sure is better than that shit that I keep hearing around my neighborhood, man. I get tired of band and all that other bullshit. Still, it is kind of rude to have that stuff blaring at 11 o'clock at night. I was like, would you be mad? No, it's the Ohio Players. I can't get mad at that. what I get mad at is I'd be trying to put my ear to the glass, see if I can hear that ghost scream. And everyone says, "Oh yeah, there was a girl getting killed in the next stadium, or in the next booth." It's a myth. The guy was warming up his pipe so that he could hit a higher pitch, and it accidentally got caught on the track. I believe that story, and I'm going to stick to it. I was like, when did he ever hit a higher pitch in that song? I was like, you know what? Okay, maybe someone was getting strangled in this. Maybe we can believe in the ghost scream. Anyway, Ohio players good, humanity bad. So, we'll be long dead. The cockroaches will take over. And I kind of wish I could see the cockroach utopia, but I don't know. I don't know what they'll mutate into. Like, will they be like cutesy, cool-looking cockroaches, or will they just be like hard, you know, like something out of Warhammer, like a Warhammer 40K nightmare? Looking like the love child of the Tyranids and the what's the name of those other guys? What was the name of the skeleton dudes? Whatever they call them. Necrons. Necrons and Tyranids. Six arms, a face twisted and racked with pain. All sorts of protrusions and fangs, and just general sharp nastiness that will fuck a dude up. Are you into Warhammer 40K? No, I'm never gonna get into Warhammer 40K because there's flaws. I kind of see flaws in the whole thing, and it's like this. It's so dark, it's hilarious. Like nothing could be that dark, because if it was that dark it wouldn't function at all, and Warhammer seems to be pretty functional. You know, stuff would have started falling apart around Warhammer 20K. Anyway. Oh my God, they traded in the big barking dog for a little ankle biter. You know what comes next, right? Yeah, gentrification. They're gonna sell the house, it's gonna get knocked down, and a mansion's gonna go there. Like I said, the dogs get smaller and the buildings get bigger. A lot of assholes out here.